Hello on the Rockers. On this episode, it's women who kick ass in Hollywood with Tiffany Daniels from That Girl Lele, The Color Purple, and the LA Chargers. Yes, indeed. Also, Jonetta Kaiser's here, hot off the heels of the debut of Vampire Academy on Peacock. And me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. It's On the Rocks.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy. I love looking at that intro because I see all the stages of my wardrobe from like skinny to medium to COVID, post-COVID. We're trying to get back. Buns and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, the place where too glam to give a damn. Okay, so apparently Adam Levine is sliding into everyone's DMs except for mine. Hey girl, inclusion. Hello, it's a hot topic. Adam, you in trouble, girl. So now it's like 4 different women, I think. Like, pay attention to your wife, and we, the gays, are supposed to be promiscuous? Okay. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. The show is presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 300 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Lucky East Coast. 4 times a week, I hear. They're going to see this episode 4 times. I'm like, okay, we get it. All right, let's get this show on the road. I'm so excited to talk to these lovely ladies from film, binge watch their shows, sexy ladies with such interesting pasts. And we're going to talk about how you make it work for yourself, how you overcome obstacles, and how you just enjoy life and look good while doing it. Tiffany Daniels, dancer, producer, actress, stars as the lovable jingle-writing TV mom. One of the hottest moms ever on TV, by the way, changing what we think of what a TV mom looks like. Some of the moms at home are like, oh, God, okay. I guess I better get a little nip tuck, a little fit here. She plays Trish on Nickelodeon's comedy series That Girl Lele. Season 2 just premiered. Also hit the Netflix charts as well. And as a dancer, she danced with Nicki Minaj in the iconic music video The Boys. Also spent time as an NFL dancer with the LA Chargers and also the Lakers. Also danced on CBS's Cold Case, the Fresh Beat Band, Fox's Mob, Disney's Shake It Up, Comedy Central's Broad City, ABC's The Goldbergs, and American Music Awards, VH1's Divas Live, and of course the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards, which is always so fun. Stage credits include amazing, the national tour of the musical Aida, Squeak in the first national tour of The Color Purple, Lorraine and Jerry Mitchell's production of Hairspray at the Hollywood Bowl. And if you didn't see that, I'm very sorry for you. Also originated the role of Liz in Surf the Musical at the Planet Hollywood Casino in Las Vegas. She danced her way to the big screen in the feature films La La Land, Gangster Squad, and Make Your Move. She has booked roles on Anger Management, American Crime Story, The People vs. OJ, Scorpion, CSI, The Mindy Project, Major Crimes, Big Bang Theory, NCIS, Criminal Minds, and more. Girl, when did she sleep? And she has time to work out, by the way, and film amazing TikToks. Please welcome Tiffany Daniels.
Wow.
It's exhausting, right?
That was a lot. Wow. I mean, is there anything left for me to even say?
I think that was my cardio for the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a little perspiration.
Trying to get fit, girl. That literally is my cardio. Down a size. Also joining us, Jonetta Kaiser, stunning actress, singer, stars in the NBC Peacock series adaptation of Vampire Academy. Very popular young adult book, now a series adapted. And they put the first few episodes on. Just cancel whatever you have going on because you're going to watch the first 10 minutes. You're like, I'm in. She grew up knowing in her heart that she wanted to be an actor. And at the age of 14, after receiving a jarring diagnosis for scoliosis, she decided to actively pursue it. And the way she went about it, she was like, okay, we're just going to do this. I'm going to talk about that. She also started developing a passion for STEM and tech, teaching herself how to code and create websites, which led to her starting her own tech business. You know how every actor does, starting out. Ultimately, she went to college, by the way, for biochemistry. But thank God for us viewers, she dropped out and fully immersed herself in the acting world, moved to LA. First break was landing a role in a Big Sean music video, which you may have not seen, but we're going to talk about that too. From there, she booked the Snapchat series, Two Sides and Breakwater. Also shot the sitcom Millennials. Please welcome Jonetta.
Jonetta!
So you are a relative fresh face to the industry, and I want to talk about how we got into the industry. We have a number of entertainment people that listen, and we all come from such different walks of life, and we're also passionate about what we want to do. But Angelina Jolie was kind of like your inspiration.
Yeah, totally.
Was it the way that she moved? Was it like?
It's just that she gets to play like strong, like just a strong woman, and these like dynamic characters, and then it was like it was the movie Salt for me that was like, oh wait, I want to be a spy after growing up watching like Kim Possible. And I was like, yeah, no, I actually want to do this. Okay, maybe I can. So yeah, I love Angelina.
But I love, and you've talked about this in your interviews. You were diagnosed with scoliosis, and you're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit of like, I was going to be an actor, and then I was diagnosed with scoliosis, so then I gave up on my dream until I graduated high school, went to school to do like the STEM thing, was so unhappy because I wasn't doing what I've always wanted to do, which was acting. So then I just dropped out, and then, yeah.
What I do like about why you got into STEM and that kind of part of the business is because you came from a lower income family and you wanted to show it's like, you can make yourself, you can be an entrepreneur, you can change the story that we're given.
Yeah.
And from that part I really love. But you were miserable.
Well, no. So it was like just not doing what I love to do, which is like living your passion, living your dream is acting for me. I also love to code. That's just like something I like to do on the side.
Fitness and
so
coding.
It's like,
why am I here?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
But like working at a bar, bartending, and then going to school. I hate being in class. Like, stay in school, kids, please. But it's not for me.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for me. It like drains. It sucked the life out of me. So yeah, that's kind of what it is.
And I want to know, growing up in Louisiana, were you, and you're in Vampire Academy, which we know is, vampires, superstition, and magic. We know Louisiana is like the home of like supernatural and witches and fabulous. Like New Orleans is still my favorite trip of my entire life, and I've been everywhere. But it's like, go back to that. Was that part of like your vernacular? Were you into those kind of stories? I mean, I know you were a fan of the book.
Yeah, I was a fan of the books, but like, there's so many old, and it's the country, so like you have just like cemeteries everywhere, and they're like out in the middle of like the woods or something. So then you, like, being a kid, you have like a group of friends like, oh, let's go like walk through this cemetery ruins, and like
absolutely
at
not
3 a.m.
But it's
100%
like sexy, but there's like a romance. I think it's
No.
sexy. Like, it's such a good date. I don't know if you've ever had wine
Cemetery?
in a beautiful cemetery,
Okay.
though. There's a romance, and there's this appreciation, I think, and this love of dealing with death and the beauty of it, rather than, here we just like stick somebody in the ground and we're like, okay, let's move on. It's like, it's part of the culture.
We would walk through hoping we'd see something supernatural. We never saw anything. It was just a ruins.
Well, and who knew, like, you would be filming in ruins in Spain, in the show, Vampire, surrounded by those effing birds.
Those effing birds.
You film in Spain?
Yeah, we filmed in
Ooh,
Spain.
girl.
For 7 months, yeah.
We're going to talk about that because they were just
Okay.
like, this is where all of you all are going to be for 7 months, and that's that.
Well,
But it's
yes,
gorgeous. So we're definitely going to get to Vampire Academy. But I also want to talk about, so your experience was on the West Coast. You're a San Diego girl.
please. Yes.
And I know San Diego very, very well. What was theater life in San Diego? Because you actually went to college for theater, studying theater.
I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not.
No.
Cross that out on your notes. No, I did grow up doing theater. I probably started when I was like 10 years old doing regional local theater in San Diego. And it was a really wonderful experience. It was my first introduction to making money doing art.
So I want to know, like, her inspiration was Angelina Jolie. As a 10-year-old, what was that kind of first either actor you saw or performance you saw? What was it that you're like, oh, that's for me?
I'm going to be real honest with
No,
you.
I want you to be honest.
I had no idea that this could end up being a career.
Same.
Right? I didn't understand that. I didn't have the comprehension when I was younger to know that I could make money doing this, like make legit money. Like I knew I could make like regional theater, San Diego, local money doing it just for fun. But my aunt was in a Better Cheddar commercial. I'm dating myself now because I said the word Better Cheddar.
What
Y'all,
is Better Cheddar?
those are like cheese crackers, like a Cheez-It, but not.
I am very familiar with the history of a cheese cracker. Oh, they were the wheels.
The round
Yes!
ones. Yes.
I had them in my lunch at school.
Yes.
I remember. Better
Right.
Cheddar. What happened to them?
I don't know. I just resurfaced this story in my mind, and I was like, wait a second. Where did they go?
They probably caused cancer.
Jonetta,
They were
you
perfect
ain't
round.
lie.
And they were perfect round, so you would put one on one cheek and one on the other cheek.
Yes!
You're like, I'm a chipmunk.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. I got
Perfect
very
girl right
excited.
here. That's how we had fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
same. Anyway, my aunt, she was a gymnast, and she was in a Better Cheddar commercial, and she did a backflip in the commercial. And this commercial came on the television, but my aunt was standing right next to me, and I was like, I don't understand. How can you be right next to me, but you're also in that little TV box? Whatever you did, I want to get inside that TV box. So that was honestly my inspiration. I was like, I just want to do that because that looks like a lot of fun. I didn't have a bunch of actors and people that I looked up to and admired. I just enjoyed the arts, and I just wanted to figure out a way that I could do it on that level.
What were some of the first kind of shows that you did? I'm very familiar with theater in San Diego. Of course, San Diego has the old Globe Theater, La Jolla
Yeah.
Playhouse, which is one of the premier theaters in the nation, as far as I'm concerned, La Jolla Playhouse. But what kind of early shows were you doing?
Well, the first show that I did was like a citywide. They came and looked at all the elementary schools in San Diego and just like literally handpicked a bunch of kids and put on this huge production at the convention center, which was incredible. It was like a huge place for us to perform. But the place where I actually started doing theater was like junior theater and CYT, Christian Youth Theater, on a smaller scale, just like in school auditoriums and whatnot. And then I graduated to the Starlight Bowl, which is the amphitheater in Balboa Park.
Yes, I know the Starlight Bowl.
Do you know the
Yes.
Starlight Bowl?
I think I saw a production of Sweeney Todd there.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah,
Yes, you probably did.
Yeah, this was a
It's
while ago, but yeah.
Underneath the flight path of the airplanes that fly into
Yeah.
San Diego. So somebody's
Perfect
job.
place for theater.
Right. They're closed down.
Yeah.
They have since closed.
Yes.
But it was somebody's job to sit there and watch for when the planes were coming and to hit the button indicators for the actors on stage, the warning yellow, prepare,
remember
the
this
plane
theater.
is coming. As the plane approaches, the light turns red and we freeze.
Yeah. And so it was Sweeney Todd, and we know like there's a lot of like pattern.
Yes.
And Sondheim is like, keep it up, and they're like,
Pause.
yeah.
Silence.
It's like, this is dramatic.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
And like nobody said anything. So if you didn't know, and because I was born and raised in Orange County, so like I
Okay.
wasn't like so if you didn't know, you're like, what the hell?
What is it?
going
What is
on?
happening?
You're like,
What's
I guess-
happening?
I guess I'm pouring out a glass of wine.
I
Well, I was
know.
10 years old probably. Still pouring it. But yeah.
But it was part of the experience of going to the Starlight Bowl. You know?
I think when you get into theater that young, and I don't know like how old you were before your first not like a Christmas pageant at school, but like a substantial show.
I did something along similar, like church plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The child running around while Christ was being put up on the cross.
Like baby Jesus is peeing, and you're
Right.
like, you're the son of God, stop peeing all on the stage. But I think doing theater like that young, we all have those stories. I was in
Sure.
Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, and we toured it from school to school. And like the piano would like fall apart during the show, but there's all these things. You always had to be on edge. You always had to be super aware, which I think has
Yeah.
helped me in so many other aspects of life. It's like, how do we
Absolutely.
adapt? And I know both of you have adapted with different situations.
Yeah.
And I want to know, were your parents like totally supportive, like from the get go, like let's do it?
My mom was a very shy kid, and I think she just wanted to expose me to a lot more opportunities than she had. So she put me in dance when I was 3 years old, and she was a huge advocate of mine because I started excelling pretty early on in that. And so she was like, yeah, we're going to keep this going as long as I can financially keep up with it. Then yes, she was absolutely supportive. But we tried doing let me drive up to LA for some auditions, but these auditions are 20 seconds. I mean, when you actually get to go into the room, 20 seconds, you drive up from San Diego in 3 hours of traffic, you're in the room for 5 minutes.
Or you drive from Louisiana.
Or you drive from Louisiana. Right. And like, it was just not something that my mom could feasibly keep up with.
I totally know what you mean. And you never know what audition's going to be big. And it's like, well, how big is it? It's like, well, no, you have to go for everything.
You have to go. Yeah.
And so my mom, she worked 3 jobs to put me through dance school. Well, not dance because I'm not a really good dancer, but like acting and voice school, and then between the jobs going to LA. And this was like where you're doing the Thomas Guide and you're getting an address, not even MapQuest.
Correct.
And it's some casting office on the side of like some deli and whatever. It's like, so my poor mom with LA, we're like, we're from Orange County.
Totally.
And you would have to go like almost every day if you had to go. And it's like sometimes you just can't do that.
Right. Being pulled out of school, and it was just a lot for her. So she gave me a choice, and I just chose where my friends were, and that was the dance studio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, were your parents like always supportive? Because I know you got like this tech and started like a business. And you're like, okay.
My mom was. She always knew I would be an actor. I don't know how she knew that, but she knew. And we would drive to Florida and go to like, come and audition for us at Disney Channel, pay us $3,000, and then blah, blah, blah. And then lots of those. And eventually that came to a halt. My dad, when I moved out here in 2018 to Los Angeles, my dad was like, yeah, you're making a mistake. You should probably go back to school. So, yeah, but my mom has always been like my biggest supporter, no matter what. Yeah.
What I want to tell our listeners, Jonetta was like, how to be an actress. Let's Google this. And
that's literally
like
what
you
I did.
took your first headshots in your backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cute.
Oh my gosh,
but like,
I love it.
You submitted yourself. You just started like being your own agent. You just started submitting Louisiana, and then you did background work for like a year.
Yeah.
What did you learn? I mean, I hate background work. I mean, number one, I'm always like the one in the back, like,
it's the worst.
Hi, right? But some people make a good living at it because it's work every day. You get the paycheck, and you did this for a year. I want to know what you learned most from watching all of the action.
Oh, wow. So one thing I learned, because I did this when I graduated in 2013, so I did it from 2013 to 2014. I just learned how crazy a set can be, first of all, and then how, well, as a background actor, was like, don't be that desperate background actor. Yeah. Just kind of keep your head down and do exactly what they want you to do, and then they'll keep calling you back. So I became like the core background on this like CW show that was like aliens and humans coming together to live together. I don't know what it was.
Sounds like the CW.
Yeah, it was very it was CW. Yeah. And then like I did like a Will Smith movie called Focus, and like just seeing like, and I just remember like walking past the trailers and then seeing Will and Jada like walk by, and I was like, oh my god.
Were they fighting?
Wow. No, they were not.
Just another conversation for another day.
She's so PC.
But it was like my first. It's my first time seeing someone at like that level in person, and they're just like normal people. They're not like over the top or doing anything extraordinary, really. I don't know. Like they just show up and they do the work and then they go home. And not everyone, but that was kind of like my experience, is just seeing like professionals going to work.
So I thought about like, that's probably a good idea for an actor. It's like, the first day and I'm sure you can speak to this, your first day like on a big set with celebrities, with the cameras, with the directors, and nobody has time to pay attention to you being your first day on set. They're like, come.
Right.
But I think cutting your teeth as a background actor, you kind of get over that fear. You kind of get used to the camera being there.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah. It was, definitely that I don't like get shocked when I see, I almost ran into Miley Cyrus doing like a background thing. Emma Roberts, I did like a American Horror Story. They did all that season down there in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was really cool to see like, A-list celebrities right there in front of you and working with them, and without the background, the show or movie they're doing doesn't work. So it's like you're just as important, and I think that's also helped me now as an actor, as a principal, and like seeing the background and like also just being nice to them, because I know how hard it actually is to be in the background, and it's hot, the tents you have to sit in, the food is not good. Yeah, I could go on.
Well, it really is about being nice, because it's such a, even though the entertainment world is so huge, it's such a small world. And people remember the first image they have of you is how they're going to, any casting director, any wardrobe person, anybody.
They all talk.
Yes, they do.
They all
Over
talk.
drinks on this show, by the way. Tiffany, what was the first set that you were on that you were like, oh crap, I'm on set? And you got a little nervous.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was my first line on television. It was on a show called Anger Management with
Yes.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, you think of Charlie Sheen to deal with. You're like,
Thankfully, my scene was not with him, so I did actually get to work that day. Maybe you should block that out.
He's fine. I think he's working at the Arby's across the street. Right?
He's fine.
So was the script only that one line?
Yes. It was one line.
I love your page was probably all wrinkled and crumpled and like a highlight.
Yes.
What was the line? Do you remember?
Of course I remember.
Stories.
Of course I remember. Well, the thing about like sitcoms, right? There's always like a setup and a punchline, right? There's a setup and then the funny.
Yep.
And my line was the funny. So no pressure. So I was in my trailer for probably 5 hours that day for whatever they were dealing with on set in other scenes.
Yeah, well.
But I had 5 hours to sit there and stew on this one line. And I'm like, okay, we got to be funny. We got to be funny. Let's make it funny. It required a voice. And I was just coming off of the Color Purple national tour where I played Squeak, who had a squeaky voice. So I just tapped into her.
Wait, you don't have a squeaky voice?
I do not, but if I speak up here, then I can.
Megan Mullally somewhere is going, oh crap.
That is amazing.
The line was, and I said it to Brian Austin Green, 90210, Haney.
Hi, boys. Why don't you sit down and join us?
That was the line. And everybody laughed. Everybody laughed. And I was like,
But
yes.
your heart was probably blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God, I was like dying.
And if you've ever been on a set like that, there's 5 writers and then the suits in the back, and they're like, is this funny? And then is it funny? And they're
change it.
yeah, you don't know if it's you, if it's a line or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But they kept it.
And you did great.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
But these are such great stories that we should all share. It's like, how we cut our teeth.
By the way, those are the hardest.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Those are the
One line?
hardest roles.
It's like, what's my motivation? What's my backstory? It's like, no, be funny for
just
this
say
one
the line.
Right.
Yeah.
This ain't about you. Just.
And then with those nerves, I remember this from like the Christmas pageant. We would have that one line and you blurt it out wrong. You know? Yeah, it's like, Ma!
Yeah.
And then you wet your pants. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Yes.
All right, so let's spill a little tea.
Okay.
And Tiffany, I don't mean like, oh my God, we have this, this ancient actress coming in.
No, it's fine.
But the age of media, when you were growing up, when you were 10 years old doing theater in San Diego, to the diversity that we're now seeing on TV, such as the family in That Girl Lele, such as Vampire Academy, you see Asian, Latino, white, black, gay, straight, old, young.
it.
And it's done without pomp and circumstance. It's like, look at us, be racially diverse. It's not even that at all. It's
Right.
just
just
it's part of the
is.
story. It just is.
Yeah.
And so you being fresh-faced to the industry, playing a part in a show like this, it's like your first experience in Hollywood is a little bit more open than, say, when you and I were growing up.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, from your perspective, looking back, the roles that you thought you might be able to do, the roles that you thought you might be able to play. Can you share a little bit about that experience and how that vision has kind of changed as now Hollywood is slowly but hopefully surely changing?
Well, I can speak to my earlier audition experiences. My agents they had a really hard time because I don't. There's this like stereotype of black
Yes.
that the industry has has created. And it's absolutely softening and we're changing and shifting, but it's a very slow and gradual change. Very slow.
Because the people behind the scenes, the suits, the executives,
Yes.
they need to understand it.
Right.
We're all getting it in the front level, but they need to understand in the offices and they're in the shelter.
Yeah, and some of them are still operating under a very old way of operation.
Yep.
So it's a slow progression, but my agents would just, anytime they saw the word black on a breakdown, they would just pass that thing on over. And it was like, yes, I'm here and I'm just trying to like get my feet in the door, and I understand that I need to be a chameleon in some ways, but like not all black is the same. And the essence of who I am is not going to be represented right in some of these opportunities. And so the role of Trish on That Girl Lele has been such a beautiful blessing, because no one is asking me to be any more black than I am. They just want me to be.
Yeah.
And that is so wonderful. And I'm so thankful that this is the place that I've landed, because I've been trying to fit into a mold and a stereotype and a category of something that I just don't fit into.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for other actors, people of color, to also to kind of, I was like the only Latino kid growing up in South Orange County. When I was looking at, I was into musical theater. I used to be musical theater, whatever, until I couldn't show up 8 times a week. Who can do that, please?
I know.
But it's like I looked at Broadway and musical theater, what was happening. I'm like, what shows could I do?
Right.
I guess I could be in the ensemble of West Side Story, because they never cast Bernardo as an actual Latino.
No.
But that was like my vision of what I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you. And can you also talk about, and you've talked about this in another interview, your audition for The Color Purple. We all love The Color Purple, and that's one of my favorite movies, and we'll talk about Allie too.
yes.
Stan Zimmerman says hi, by the way.
Wow.
And so he was in the fashion show, and you opened the fashion show. Yeah. Anyway, we'll explain what I'm saying.
Okay, wow.
But The Color Purple, you talked in an interview, and you were like, you felt like almost like a stranger at this callback, because you're like, do I understand this culture, where it's coming from? Do I understand the piece? And from the outside, it's like, well, Color Purple, it's celebrating the black story, but it's like, what does that even mean? Right. And from your experience, it's like you didn't feel a part of that. You felt kind of like a stranger walking in. Absolutely.
Full disclosure, I hadn't seen The Color Purple before I went to that first audition. I grew up in a very sheltered Caucasian home. I'm mixed race. My mom is white. And it just wasn't, I just wasn't exposed to it. It wasn't something that she necessarily kept me from. It just wasn't part of the movie collection that she had at home. And I wasn't very close with my dad's side of the family. And so I just was really sheltered from that culture. So when I got the call back for The Color Purple, the musical, I was like, maybe I should watch the movie now. I think I should probably.
I don't know, Steven Spielberg, a million Academy Awards, Oprah, Whoopi. I don't know, maybe.
I think I should probably watch the movie. And I was obviously just beyond blown away, moved. And it just like fueled my fire for the callback, because I wanted to be a part of this story in musical form. And so once I booked it, actually, yes, I was a complete stranger to the world, to the culture, and my first week of rehearsal was my first time really being in a room full of all Black people.
What did that feel like?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. I felt like I don't want anyone to know. I don't want to be exposed.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. It was, I just wanted to like fit in, but it was like very obvious that I didn't know what I was doing when they were like, yeah, let's have a soul food potluck on Friday. And I was like, what is soul food? What's that? And they were like, oh, that's what we're working with. And then it became this like educational experience for me on such a deep level. And they took me in in the most beautiful and magical way. And some of the cast members are still some of my best friends today.
I absolutely love this. You were like a stranger in your own skin.
Absolutely.
So I was raised Latino, but in Southern Orange County, or raised Latino, I am Latino.
Yeah.
But raised in Southern Orange County, it's like, because of the stereotypes that existed, you just kind of put that away. So I wasn't raised speaking Spanish, didn't have a piñata. My quinceañera, which I still want to have, but I guess I'm too old to have my quinceañera.
Honey, let's do it. Let's do it.
But it was that same kind of, I felt I could never hang out with the Latino kids because I felt so out of place. I didn't understand the lingo. I couldn't speak the language. I didn't understand the customs. And I was always taught, kind of put that away or else you're going to be judged. And
Totally.
So what kind of, how have you embraced that heritage? How have you learned more about your heritage from doing that?
Well, I started dating chocolate boys. That's the start.
Same girl. No, I'm not even on your journey.
That was where I began my journey.
It's a good place to start. For so many reasons, but okay.
I've never gone back. The saying is true.
It is very true.
But that was actually such a wonderful way for me to watch more movies and just expose myself to more music.
Yeah.
And go to places that I would have never gone to before. So it really just was like my social life. And then through The Color Purple, there was just so much that happened. I was with these people for 3 years. Every day we were touring the country. We were touring North America. We were traveling on Mondays. Like, I just submerged myself in this incredible group of African Americans. And like, they gave me everything that I needed.
And it's so important for, this goes with any minority group. There's no right way to be a part of that community.
Right.
Such as the gay community, if somebody comes out late in life, we're like, oh, now you show up.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no right or wrong way to be, and we should be welcoming, and we should take the time to ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions, but also not be afraid to sit and come from a place of welcoming and be like, great, let's get your education going along.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I want to know from your experience, like I said, being fresh-faced, coming to a set like Vampire Academy where it's so diverse, coming into the industry where topics like racial diversity is a hot topic and it is happening. But I want to know, your growing up, even in Louisiana, what was your kind of experience growing up as not the typical, white girl that's getting cast on TV and film?
Yeah. Well, I'm also mixed race. My mom is black, though. So my mom and my grandma are who raised me. So I was actually raised with the black experience, watching Medea, watching Friday, watching The Color Purple. Like, so all of that is kind of, going to Black Baptist churches in the South, which if you know what I'm talking about, then it's quite the experience. And then family reunions where everyone everyone there is black. And so I've actually never had it the other way where like I've been the only I think I'm more uncomfortable when I walk into a room and there's just nothing but white people in there, because I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, let me be on my best behavior. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, you feel like you're just gonna like misstep or say the wrong thing or and be judged. And that may have to do with like also being raised in the South, where it's just so racist. Like, my school was like, in my opinion, very segregated, because you have honors courses and regulars courses, and everyone that was in honors, there were maybe like a handful of black people, me being one of them, and then the rest of my high school I never saw until graduation. I was like, I have never met any of these people, and my school was majority black, so it was like it was just such a weird experience. And then getting into the industry was like, when I first got out here, my first audition was for the role of Rue in Euphoria. And
wow. That's your first audition?
Right out the bat.
Just a little audition.
Wow.
I mean, it's not better chatter.
Right on.
Do you remember the scene that you had auditioned with? I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
it was
even imagine
the scene-
auditioning for that show.
It was the scene where Zendaya pees on the stick.
Yes.
Because her mom is drug testing her.
Yes.
That was the audition scene. I actually didn't even do the audition because I was just little conservative Jonetta from the South who had never seen anything outside of Louisiana really, and got to LA, and that was my first audition. I was like, I can't do this. This is like rated X, like R rated. Yeah, so like it took me a while to like get out here and like realize that like because I was also raised really like religious and you know like conservative in the way like don't do this, your reputation is everything, like I mean in a lot of ways it is, but still yeah, that was it. So then all of my auditions after Euphoria and then like once that show got really big was kind of like roles similar to that, like you'd be the black girl in the show but also gay and on drugs or something, like I don't know, like that was kind of like the type for a while. So when I got Sonia in Vampire Academy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a character that like is complicated, but it's not, it doesn't have to do with the fact that she's like on drugs or was raped by her uncle or like, you know, something. I mean, sorry if that's too explicit, but like
but this is,
it's like the stereotypes of.
You know, that's a really good point. You know, we're talking about how advanced we are now with diversity and inclusion, but it's also, I can't imagine being a young actor, and because a lot of the shows that feature young actors are exactly what you said. Everything has to be gritty. And I know, like, from the LGBTQ community, from my own voice, we're so proud that we have so much programming, but almost everything is about coming out, which is so traumatic, or HIV, or the violence that we've had, and it's like it's so heavy. Where we look back and it's like, well, the roles, I guess when I was growing up, like none of these roles for the young kids existed. I never put that together. That's kind of tough. And as an actor, it's like, when do we put our own kind of not morals, but our kind of ideals and what kind of actor we want to be, put that aside, but also how do you say no when this is like the writing theme in Hollywood?
Well, it's like the thing of like, once they see like, oh, this works, now let's make everything that. And it's not to like crap on like what Zendaya is doing, because hello, she's absolutely killing it, and I feel like opening so many doors for women of color and black women and everything. Like, I mean, just setting a new bar and showing that like, hey, we can still tell great stories too and make you a lot of money, but like that's not the story every time. Like that's not the one story that works. And so yeah, I think just like giving just it's such a beautiful thing. I think hopefully we'll see more of it, where women, black women of color and everything like are put into roles where there's just more story there, like other than
well, and also a place of enjoyment. And I think this is why That Girl Lele has been so popular, especially coming out of COVID. You know, it's like, you know, we've gone through a dark time, and we have this positive show where we can laugh, we can see a family that's just enjoying being together, that doesn't come from this kind of dark place, and it's as popular as something that's dark. And so I think the two, like you said, will come together.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk about your acting style. So like we joke about like you Googled like how to be an actor and like took your own headshots, but a lot, you know, you've taken classes, but a lot of your instruction has also been from reading acting books. And I want to know what your kind of acting technique is, because you have a lot of dance and dancers in shows or commercials or film. It's not necessarily like, as an actor, I'm going to approach it from this. So I want to know what kind of acting style, even if you like subscribe to a method or something, but what is your kind of acting school that you've made for yourself, and what is your creative process when you get a new role?
For me, it's really just been about authenticity. Like I just keep like bringing myself back to the truth of the moment. I'd scene study at a few different places out here. I did not go to school for theater, so I had to kind of make up for that. Once I did make the commitment that I wanted to be an actor. But it's honestly like I just devour the words and dig out the truth and like where that truth could be coming from at every single word. And, you know, it's very different approaching dramatic and procedural work than it is approaching Trish on That Girl Lele, you know, because I've still got to like dissect these words, but I've also got to like really dissect it for the funny.
Yeah.
In the comedy, but I don't subscribe to any particular method. I just I have a bunch of sheets that I'm just like, okay, taking notes from this class and this class over here and this class. It's a hodgepodge of all of it. But as long as it comes back to the truth, then I know that I can deliver.
And it's a bit of a dance where you have all these different moves and genres, and you can mix them together for your.
Yeah, I've never been a subscriber to one particular thing. I know that there are a lot of people that find a way and stick with it, and that is how they get through. That's their method. Yeah. But I never stayed at a studio for too long. I always, once I found myself getting a little comfortable or getting a little too used to the way that we work here, I left.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Make it fresh and then challenge yourself over and over.
Yeah.
I know some people have taken the same class for like 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah. I actually noticed that when I moved out here. It was like people were like having dinner together every week because
it's like a cult.
I was like, oh,
sure.
okay, this is like a and there's nothing against like hanging out, I guess, but I was like, wait, you guys have like been going here how long? And none of you are working this week, and I'm just like, at all.
Although I do know some very talented people that are still waiting.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, and that's like the catch-22 is like they're so talented, but I did that as well. I was like, I'm not staying in this class. It's like becoming too comfortable. So I took like the greats that created the method, and then and I just do what you do. I use all of them and find what works for me. And I don't think it's the same way with every script either, because like comedy is different than drama, and then TV drama is different than film drama. So yeah, I think it just kind of whoever the character is and how you connect to that character, and then I think the work comes in from there. For me anyways.
What genre or what style of role is the most challenging for you?
I just did a thriller. That was pretty challenging for me because it's so dramatic. It's just like, you're like, all right, and someone died. And then you huff and puff for like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I think that was challenging for me because I was like, no one in real life is just huffing and puffing for 5 minutes. I don't get it.
You didn't see me walk up those 2 flights of stairs. I was huffing and puffing. Was it like a gory thriller or was it more like a mental?
It was like a gory thriller, yeah.
See, I was thinking that's so tough. We had Dee Wallace who did Cujo. And, she was covered in blood and all this. And she's like, that was the hardest part. It's like,
yeah.
How do you maintain like your acting and you're just like having to deal with fake blood all the time?
like throwing glasses and it's like, what the heck? What is going on? And you just feel. I think it's also just like you just feel so ridiculous, and you're like, if you're like looking at yourself in the inside out, outside in, or whatever, you're like, why are you doing that? Like, what are you doing right now? This is so weird. Yeah.
But I think horror is now focusing on the reality of it. Before it used to be like, now it's like, no, we need good actors in horror. We need good directors in horror. We need cinematography in horror. And I know like Blumhouse is really doing a great job of kind of changing the shift
like
of what we think of horror
film.
Exactly.
So
and Patrick Wilson's making his directorial debut in the next Conjuring movie, so that should be interesting.
We love a debut.
Yes. What kind of acting genre is the most challenging for you?
I wouldn't say there's a specific genre that's challenging for me, but crying is so hard for me. I just I don't know what it is.
You're such a positive person too. You're just like
crying has been whenever there's something that involves me needing to cry, I am so stressed out because I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Like psyching yourself out.
Yeah. I struggle with crying. One of the first co-stars I booked was CSI Cyber. I got thrown into a trunk and they stole my kidney. They drugged me up. It was a whole situation.
If you're going to steal a kidney, though.
Oh, my God.
Like misfit over here. Clean as a whistle.
Yeah, you definitely want this kidney for sure. But as soon as they opened the trunk, I needed to be like, ugh.
Yeah. I've always thought, the guest stars on like Law and Order and all that, like, and like what you said, like they deserve the awards because it's like you get no background, you get nothing, but like, okay,
right,
yeah,
cry.
0 to 100.
0 to 100. So thank goodness for those menthol sticks.
Oh, spill the tea. I mean, I've heard onion powder on the fingers. I've heard like plucking a nose hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And literally for some of these auditions and self-tapes, I've tried it all. So that I could cry.
And sometimes as an actor, it's like, you know what, Taya, I just don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julianne Moore was talking about when she was an English Patient, and she says she had a crying scene with Ray Fiennes. But not only did that, in the background, they had explosions, and the plane literally had to crash, and it was like, hey, the budget only calls for these many explosions.
That's a lot.
And so she psyched herself out all day in the trailer. She's like, I have to cry. And she's like, okay, listen to sad music. I don't know, what do I do? And so the scene came, and she just couldn't.
Oh.
And the special effects were happening, and the director's like, I think you'd be crying. And she's like, no shit. And that day she didn't do it, so they had to come back the next day, and she was there, but it was because she psyched herself out.
Oh, yeah. I feel like you really can psych yourself out with crying scenes. I found in the thriller, I just did, I found I had a scene where I had to, be really angry and, yell to defend myself. And then I, naturally kind of almost started to get emotional from that place. And I almost wonder, it hasn't happened yet, but if there's, a crying scene where you have to, come in crying, does it, right before you come on, can you just scream and, get there, I feel like some scenes don't allow it because maybe someone has dialogue right before you're coming in, and then in which case you just look like a jerk screaming yourself into the scene. But it helps. I don't know.
I mean, a doctor needs a scalpel to do surgery. As an actor, if that's what gets you to that place, and that's what gets you to that place, it's such a fine line because we have actors like Christian Bale that are being a fool on stage. It's like just act.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about making certain choices. We talked about how you kind of shifted. You're like, I'm over the tech world, whatever. But you filmed what was the thing that you filmed? Root
Letter, yeah.
Which actually brought you back to Louisiana.
You did. I hadn't been home in almost 2 years.
But you got your SAG card for doing that.
Yes.
But then you came back and. Wherever you were working at, they were like, listen, you got to make a choice. You're either going to be a bartender or you're not, but you got to make the choice.
Yeah. He literally said, you're going to have to choose between bartending and acting. And I was like, what?
Acting.
This is LA. We do both.
Duh.
You know that I'm an actor. What do you mean? Anyways,
It's so funny because it's that doesn't pay your rent. Right away. And I would talk about you. You also studied restaurant something.
Yes, that's what I studied in school. I was in the hotel administration program at Cornell University.
Oh, cool.
Hospitality.
Yeah.
So how did you also make that kind of decision, and what gave you the strength to kind of persevere during the earlier times when it wasn't just happening? I know that. Your first meeting, you drove all the way from Louisiana to LA, and your first sit-down meeting didn't kind of happen.
No, it didn't.
And you came all that way, and it's we see LA big dreams, and you decided, I'm going to leave the hotel business, which is a pretty secure business. Everybody needs to stay at a hotel.
Yeah, I mean, I never really even started in the business. I already knew. And so did my classmates. They voted me most likely to not do anything with my degree except hang it up on the wall. And she looks real pretty. She does. Cornell University.
Whereas now, Miss Star here will stay at the presidential suite when she comes to the hotel. That's her hotel experience.
Yes, that's about as much as I can do. Hotels are 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
And there's no appreciation.
No.
Somebody could say thank you for 3 days straight, and then you never see them again for the rest of your life.
Right. Or they won't say thank you. And you're like, really?
So, but tell me, because, a lot of us have to make that decision at some point. We have to just say, I'm going to live life for me and for nobody else. And it's tough. So what got you through the first kind of initial, okay, now we got to hustle. How's going to pay rent? How did you get through that?
Well, I was fortunate enough to begin my entertainment journey as a dancer.
Yeah.
And so I was able to make money and pay my bills by doing that. And that was my introduction into the world and my first times being on set and getting used to the world, seeing celebrities and, diffusing that. But I was just fortunate enough to find consistent work that kept my bills paid as a dancer. When I left the dance scholarship that brought me to Los Angeles.
Edge Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
So Bobby
Rest in
Newberry,
peace.
who's a celebrity,
Yes.
his first gig was being a choreographer for Eminem, but he's choreographed.
Yes. I watched that interview of yours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you have, and you went there, and that was like also,
Yeah.
okay, we're in LA now, we're a dancer now. That must have
Yeah.
been an amazing experience.
It was an amazing experience, but it was also like overwhelming because
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, here you go out into the world. It was pre So You Think You Can Dance. It was
Yeah.
pre Dancing with the Stars, and so dancers were still finding their own star.
And pre-social media, I would say, too.
Yes.
Dancers and actors are now being cast. Oh, didn't you get, like, your actual sit-down from Instagram?
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, I did.
It's
Yeah.
so weird that social media.
It's changed so much.
But
Yeah.
what I do love about the TikTok dancing, but like actual dancers doing the TikTok dancing, we're going to look at one of your TikToks, by the way, is that it's brought dancers from just the background
Yes,
to
they're
being
stars.
a star.
They're stars now, absolutely. But when I was coming up, it wasn't like that at all. There was still just go to the audition and hope and pray that you're one of 500 and you're gonna make it to the end. Which I was fortunate enough to do many times, but I also jumped on a dance convention that a lot of the choreographers and a lot of the dance teachers will travel around the U.S. teaching in different cities, and that is a huge moneymaker as a dancer. And you're only working like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that leaves your whole week open for auditions. So, I was just really fortunate enough to find opportunities like that.
But to your point of like not saying that could also get very comfortable. It's like we're just going to do
Yes.
this and that's going to be what I'm doing.
Yeah, I
But
was
you
never like
shifted.
that.
And even getting booked as a dancer, and I know from other dancers, you're like 12 hours on set, your feet are bleeding, you're whatever.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like, okay, cut, action. And then stars are treated like stars. And then
Oh
you're
my
like,
gosh.
okay, well, I guess I, still need to practice tomorrow. I got a condition and I got to be on the set for this episode.
Oh yeah, dancers back in the day, it's changed a lot, but
Yeah.
dancers back in the day were not treated very well. They were just accessories to whoever they were.
I mean, what's gotten you through some of the, especially coming to LA? So you got your SAG, then you got like a Thailand Coke commercial, and then so she's like, okay, I made it, whatever. Not realizing here we were getting into COVID.
Yeah.
Like how I see it is like she gets off of the plane in like a mink and like free Diet Coke and like Thai food for hours, and there's like silence and nothing because you came back and we were under lockdown when you came back.
No, not yet. We
Okay.
it was like a month, and then it kind of went
yeah.
right into it, and I was like, oh no. I was like, no. Yeah, but yeah. My getting me through the hard moments. I pray a lot. I pray. That's literally it for me. Because when I moved out here for 6 months, I did the drive from Oceanside, which is almost San Diego.
Yeah.
5 times a week because I would go to like acting class and then
From Oceanside to LA.
Wow.
I want to tell like the younger people that are watching, this is the hustle that you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to do
Yeah.
the work. It's not just going to come to you.
I mean, I would cry in my car on the
And I know that
405.
sometimes it's a 3-hour trip.
Oh, there was
100%.
one time. There were a couple of times I was actually able to turn off my car and go to sleep on the freeway.
Yeah.
Because like traffic just was not moving. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And you go to an audition, you know it's crap the minute you walk into the office and there's like flies in the corner. You're
Yeah.
like,
Well, for me to like get to auditions on time, I would have to leave 3 hours early
Yeah.
just to get here and then wait at like a Starbucks or something where they don't charge you to sit inside.
Yeah.
and then you get there and like parking's a bitch. You're like, what?
Yep.
Totally.
I'm so glad that you're sharing these stories because we see you on Nickelodeon doing your thing. We see Vampire Academy and it's like, oh, yes. It's like, this is what it takes.
Yes.
This is the blood, sweat, and tears, actual blood, sweat, and tears that it takes. I want to talk about your experience being a dancer for the Chargers and also the Lakers. So we've had cheerleaders, we've had dancers, we have choreographers. We had the first male choreographer. There you are, girl.
Look at those abs.
Amazing.
We had Quentin Perron on, who was the first male NFL cheerleader.
Oh, very cool.
But I've heard different stories, different experiences as a woman. So I want you to share your story. I've heard it's very misogynistic. You know, they put you in the skimpiest outfits in the coldest weather, and it's like you gain 5 pounds. They're like, And you know, we're trying to celebrate women in their natural state. We're body positivity. You know, you deal with scoliosis. You also talk a lot about body positivity. You're also an artist. It's not just this is the part. And I know sometimes like, oh, you know, it's a cheer dance or something. It's like, no, it's dancing. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Can you share your experience, the good and the bad?
Yeah. Well, my NBA and my NFL experiences were 11 years apart. So it was, yeah, it's wild, right?
Maybe I should put down the booze and just drink water. I don't know how you keep doing it. In 20 years, she's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be a cheerleader for Super Bowl halftime.
Listen, I've considered it again. I was like, maybe I could.
What would keep you?
Just being booked and blessed.
Well, yeah, but other than that, like, you could walk in and be like,
I think that I could.
Bless. That should be the name of your biography.
Before I booked That Girl Lele, it was Busy and Broke by Tiffany Daniels, but booked
Volume 1 and then Volume 2.
Busy and Broke.
Thank you, Nickelodeon.
Thank you so much for changing the title of my autobiography. Yes, so the two experiences were they differed very much because of who I was. I was 25 when I was a Laker girl. I was 36 when I was a Charger girl.
That's amazing, Tiffany.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because you do talk about body positivity. You talk about health, mental health, and physical health. You're also like, you know, women over 40. This is how you can live life. There's no restriction.
None.
Also, you look 19.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Which, you know,
amazing.
The gay man in me is like diva, diva, diva. But then I've also been educated by some of my female friends. It's like you can't just focus on the looks of a woman too, because yes, it's great, but like it's also the hard work that at 36 you're still, you know, there's no difference.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how that audition was gonna go, but
Can you because I this was not in my research that there was that, but I would be terrified.
I mean, I was definitely terrified, but at the same time, I was like, there's no expectation here. I've had a wonderful experience as a professional cheerleader. Yeah. The Chargers had just moved to Los Angeles from San Diego, which is my hometown. Right. So I never had the opportunity to be a San Diego Charger girl. So I was like, it feels like now is the time. So let me just roll up. Nobody needs to know. Nobody knows me. You know what I mean? Let me just roll up. Nobody needs to know that I'm 36.
So like the age on the application, what do you...
I put it down. Like, I'm not going to lie about it. I'm very proud.
I lie every time. Every time. It doesn't matter if it's job application at Subway. I'm like...
21 forever.
But I love that they didn't even like blink at that.
They didn't, which was really surprising. But yeah, it's not, that was an opportunity for them to prove that it's not just about being youthful. I think it was really great for them to have a senior member on the team because it helped balance out some of the 20-year-old chaos. You know what I mean?
And I've heard young girls, all the glitz and glamour of being, you know, on a huge team and the crowds and the partying and the bus and the tours and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it can get a little wild. But I let them know day one. I was like, I'm grown, so keep me out of the drama. And they pretty much did. And, you know, yeah.
I would imagine you were probably inspiration for so many of the girls. Of how to act, you know, in rehearsal, how to keep your personal life in check with what your job is.
Yeah.
And also, you know, you being a young actor, you know, you have to learn right away the party life, you know, now with the hit show and the media tours and all that, how to kind of adjust that and be like, well, no, I still have to show up to work.
Yeah.
I still have to be true to who I am, which I think in Hollywood is very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, it seems to me like both you women are so strong in yourself that you've maintained your personal identity while still having this career.
Yeah.
Thank you.
which is really, really special.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, girl.
I do what I can.
But first tour, national tour, was for Aida.
Yes.
Was Adam Pascal part of that tour?
He was not.
Oh.
It was no. It was a
He joined
smaller.
later. Okay.
It was a smaller production company. The biggest national tour that I did was The Color Purple.
Yeah, but the first was Aida. That was like the
Yeah.
first time. What kind of? We've had people that have been national tour, and they're like, think, oh, I'm on a national tour, and then the actual struggle of not them like having to pack up the bus, but like packing up the bus and going from
Yeah.
city to city, being in a hotel room. Even though you're surrounded by a cast, it's a little isolating because you don't have family and friends on the way. You're doing a show for an audience that you're not going to see tomorrow, or the next week. What kind of, and also shenanigans happen because you're on the road and you're with, the cast and you're drinking and other things. Can you share some of the things you learned right off the bat, maybe mistakes you might have made that you learned from?
Well, I really did love touring.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful experience to have. It's not something that I feel like I could have done for a really, really long time, but I did tour for 3 years straight. Which some would say is a long time, but there are some people that have been touring with Phantom of the Opera for like 20 years.
And that's what they do.
And that's what they do, and
Yeah.
they're totally fine with that. I knew early on that I was just going to do this, and then that was going to be the stepping stone to something else. I didn't want to like stay in that touring world. If it was going to be another theater production, I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be a sit down. That's not the trajectory that I ended up on. I started transitioning more into TV and film after theater, but my tips, I guess, at the time, we didn't have Airbnb, we didn't have Uber, we didn't have Venmo. All of those things would have made tour life very, very, very much easier.
Where did you get mail?
I know.
I mean, I'm a shopaholic. I'm like, bye. Like,
They had an office address for us in New York that we could send all of our stuff to, and then our production company would send everybody's mail to wherever city we were in.
I don't know. Anybody needs to see the mail that I'm getting. I don't know.
Well, it was maybe a little different back then. I don't even think Amazon was a thing when I was on tour, so it was fine.
Even that in itself must seem a little isolating. It's like, where's home? Where are my roots? Where's my safe place? Where's my comfort?
Well, that's the beauty of being in a tour, because everybody's feeling that way. And so they become your comfort. They become your home, and they become your family.
And we know family for good or bad, too. Also, you're also stuck with the same
Yes.
people.
Literally, like all the things that happen in your family, your real family, happen in a touring family as well.
And you still have to...
And yeah, you still got to, the show must go on. And you are definitely getting on a plane together on Monday to travel to the next city.
A plane. You're lucky, girl. Most people are like, here's the bus.
Yeah, it was a production contract.
Did you date anybody on the...
Of course I did.
And we know Aida is like all hot people, by the way. It's like, it's like, damn, I didn't know Egypt was that hot.
Yeah, well, I didn't date anybody during Aida. I just made out with some people. But during Color
No,
Purple...
she said people, by the way. It wasn't like one kiss.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's who you're hanging out
She's
with.
hot. Let her live.
You see these people all the time. We're like, well, let's do this.
I have a friend. He's in a national tour. He doesn't hook up or whatever with people in the show, but from city to city. Did you ever hook up with somebody that came to see the show, went to stage door, or like...
No, because like dating apps weren't a thing back then either.
Yeah, but like somebody's at the stage door or like
No.
at the hotel. They're working at the hotel. Those bellboys?
I don't think so. I don't think that there was anything like that. I was too busy playing with the boys in my show.
And here I thought she was going to talk about,
busy.
I maintained my physical and vocal health.
I did all that too, honey. They
So, but
can all
I do want to
exist.
know. I can't imagine, like I said, musical theater was not cut out for me. Like 8 shows a week.
It's a lot.
It's like, ugh.
It's a
And you have to be
lot.
responsible. You can't do the cast parties every night. You can't go out. You can't drink and then expect your voice to be there. How did you maintain your vocal, dancing, stretching while being in a hotel? And also, you have to be responsible.
Yes, I mean, to an extent, you have to be responsible, because if you think about it, your call time for your work, you show up at work at 7 p.m., 7:30.
That late?
Yeah, it's for an equity production. You get a half-hour call. Like if curtain goes up at 8, your call time is 7:30.
I'm used to college theater where it's like 5 p.m. I'm meditating, I'm listening to my soundtrack, and I'm putting on my ridiculous
Right.
makeup.
With
7:30, you're just like, boom, boom, boom.
union rules, like that's all that is required. I would absolutely show up early. I always like to show up at least an hour early, just for my own personal
Get centered.
organization. But I am obsessive about the gyms, and so any place that we went, any hotels that we were at, or apartments that I found on Craigslist or whatever, I needed to make sure that there was some sort of gym in walking distance, or I could access the gym when I needed to in the hotels. That was a huge part of my self-care during my touring. We all had personal steamers, those little, like, when you're sick, when you like inhale that steam. That was a huge part of it as well. Ginger tea was a huge part of our tour. But you know, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna be real honest. Like, we definitely went to the bar on almost every other night. There was like
Amazing.
at least a glass of wine that was had.
As you should.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it
A
takes
glass of
while
wine
to
actually
wind
helps
down.
your vocal cords
Yeah.
relax. What
And
I love
also,
about
like, what experience is that if you just like work
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
time and didn't,
And you don't have to be at work until 7 o'clock the
Yeah,
next day.
exactly.
So we were able to work it out.
what I love about how you share your fitness and how it's such an important part of your life is that you just, you know, they say like show by example. Don't preach. You're like, your social media is not preaching like, I'm fit, I did 30 curls today. You're just like, look at me living my life. Obviously it's working. You know, and it's such a positive energy.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
That probably spread on the national tour. So you didn't do a national tour, but
No.
Vampire Academy might as well been a national tour in terms
I was
of
thinking that as you're
yeah.
saying everything. I was like,
everything. So I'm going to share with our audience 7 months in a Spanish monastery.
Wow.
Beautiful, by the way. But the whole show, the whole season was shot around the monastery and little locales right around it. It wasn't like you had free reign around Spain. And the whole cast was kept there for the duration. And when I say monastery, we're not talking about a monastery that has a bellhop that was a hotel. It was like a monastery.
it was an abandoned. I'm pretty sure it was abandoned,
this
and they
is
came
so
in. Yeah.
cool.
But there's like
Oh.
rubble, and it's like, wait, that's real rubble. That's not a set.
Yeah.
Which adds this beauty to the show and this layer where we see you young kids at the academy surrounded by these structures that are not fabricated. It's part of the history, which
It's
is
real,
beautiful.
yeah.
But at the same time, 7 months with the same people filming. Some days you're not filming, but you guys were kind of kept there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience? What day one? Like, how many? I'm so gay. I'm just like, how many? Did they tell you just like 2 suitcases? Did you have to sleep next to somebody? What were the bathroom situations like? Like, I want to know that first, and then let's talk about like the actor experience.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so you're taking me back to the beginning. So there are tons of TikToks about traveling in Spain.
Yes.
You need to
Oh.
go look this up if you don't
Okay.
know. It is a job in itself. The airports are hot.
Like
And,
temperature
like,
or
temperature
sexy?
wise.
No, it's
like,
not like Latin hot.
Like you are.
You wonder why they go
sweating,
It's because they have nothing. They have
you're
no
like
spit left.
sweating. You're like, where's the water?
Why? Do we know why? That's not what this is about.
I
Keep
have
talking.
no idea. Honestly,
No, it's because the culture is so in the olden
It's
times.
just-
It's like
yeah,
modernism.
it's so
is-
different. They
yeah.
don't do AC there really.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it's
Okay.
an interesting thing. So, yeah, so I traveled to Spain. I have 1 suitcase because I packed up my whole apartment. That was
for 7 months.
you got to hear me out. I was so poor. I had no clothes. I wore like the same pair of like leggings and my Southeastern Louisiana University T-shirt,
So adorable.
sweatshirt for like a week. And then I was like, oh my God, it's cold here. I gotta buy clothes. Okay. So then I eventually like added on. We have other people that showed up with like 6 suitcases. But they had to travel through the Madrid airport to Pamplona, which anyone that lives in Spain will be laughing their arse off right now because they will be like, that in itself is just a process. And yeah, so we landed in Madrid. We had a few days there, and then we went over to Pamplona. which is where we were stationed, and then a 30-minute drive to Olite, which is like even more of a secluded area where the monastery is located. And we did our fittings there, our hair and makeup tests there, and everything. And you know, Julie, Pleck, and Marguerite come walking up. We meet them for the first time. It was so amazing. And then we all had like cheese and wine after our first like initial thing there. But once we were back in Pamplona and we all got our apartments, because we were originally just put in the Tres Rayas hotels where we stayed for I stayed there for about 2 weeks. Some people had to stay longer, just depending on when apartments opened up, because we had to the ensemble cast of 10 series regulars had to pay for their own apartments.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of just, well, you're contracted out and you get like a relocation fee, but you pay for your lease.
The relocation fee.
So that's kind of like what it is. And by the end of it, like,
But this was under Netflix, right? Before it went to
well,
Peacock.
it was so Netflix, like it was
Is that known? By the way, I don't know if I'm supposed to.
I don't know. It's NBC. It's NBC and Peacock.
We're all one big happy family.
It's NBC and Peacock and Universal. So yeah, so we're out there and we're like doing the thing in the hotel, and then we eventually like one by one get our own apartments. And then we're just in Pamplona and we're hanging out until we go in and film. An ensemble of 10 is quite a lot of storylines to get through.
Yeah.
So, like, we have a week off. Some people have a week on, a week off, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on. You know, one person had a month off. Like,
That's so dangerous to me. But
Yeah.
they have to still
But
be
they-
there, though.
we
That was
still
the
had to be there
question.
mainly because of COVID, because there was no guarantee that
Ah.
if you got it, you'd be able to come back on time and everything still be on schedule. So it was tough. And then, like, Pamplona is very much like villagey in a way. So
Yeah.
like a lot of it's still like old world. They
100%.
shut down. They completely shut the town down, and yeah, we hung out a lot, the 10 of us, and then everyone else that was like recurring. I mean, I love this guy so much. I really do.
And from what I see from your social media, like everybody really bonded. But still, 7 months, just that's all you got.
Well, it's like a brother or sister when you're around them all the time. You're like, okay, you're annoying me right now, so I'm gonna go home because I can't right now. You know, like that sort of thing.
Yes.
But along the same lines, the cast, so hot.
I cannot wait to watch this show.
Well, we just saw episode 5. For those that haven't watched it, very sad. But
Yeah.
the boys, the girls, the undeclared, so hot. 7 months, getting a little squirrely in Spain, one of the most romantic and like
What's
wine
your
happening.
question?
So any
Trying to get some
shenanigans?
tea?
Because
I mean-
I couldn't find any research on you of dating, post, Tinder, nothing.
That's because I keep
Because-
it private.
And you too, by the way. I would be like, there's no dirt here. No, but I think it has to be like from your upbringing, like you said, like I'm going to audition for a certain role and I'm not going to audition for this and I'm going to share this part of my life and I'm not going to share certain parts of my life.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. I just.
But you weren't alone for the whole 7 months, right? And it's so international. There's like an Irish accent. There's English accent.
There's so
She
many.
literally closes her lips. So, but I want to know a little bit about your audition process because you know you've done projects here and there. And P.S. What's a Snapchat drama?
Snapchat does like original content shows.
Did you know this?
I did know that.
Scripted
They have
TV
billboards.
shows. Yeah.
I fought Snapchat.
They're still doing it?
They still do. Actually, so I did Two Sides. Two Sides was one of their first scripted dramas, and so it was like non-union. It was like one of the first things I booked when I moved out here, and then I did Breakwater, which is now union.
Yeah.
And their budget was bigger, and we went to Mexico and Baja down there to film it. It was like where they filmed Titanic. We used like the real ocean water. Like it was so cool. They had so much money to like create this show, and it was. I mean, I watched.
And you
it.
looked
It
a little
was so
rough
good.
too. Like they put you
I
through it.
mean, yeah, I get kidnapped in the beginning, and
Wow, Snapchat.
I mean, like 4 of the episodes, I'm just like. Like
The
'cause
whole
I'm
time?
kidnapped. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
So great.
Drama.
She still looks amazing. There's like schmutz and water and whatever hairs like over here, and she's still like. Jonetta.
Yeah, no,
Love it.
it's so great. But yeah, they do like real scripted shows, and they do well, I think. Yeah.
So you went from that. I want to know about the audition for this, because doing this, it's like doing your first national tour of a Broadway show. During your first show, you're not just a guest spot. It's like, oh, I'm in it. And I know they had you read for Rose, right?
Yeah, they had all of the girls, which I think is Julie Pleck's like process, because they did this for Vampire Diaries as well. They had all the girls read, and then I think they like I don't know. I remember watching a YouTube video about it. Anyways,
I think it's so smart, by the way, because it takes you out of your actor mind. It's like, oh, I have to read this. Happened on Golden Girls.
oh yeah.
Betty White was supposed to be Blanche, and then they switched. And yep.
Yeah, so it's just like it
even
makes
imagine
sense
that.
to kind of see like, oh no, this is more the essence of that person. And we talk about essence so much, like we've talked about it in all of our press, but like it really is. That's what it came down to at the end of the day. Like each person was cast because of the essence of who they are, not because of what they looked like or anything like that. It's like it's who they were as a person.
Look at this
Look
cast.
at this
Yeah.
cast.
Right? Look at them. They're so gorgeous.
Where am I? There. Oh. No. Can I just ring the bell at the monastery? Like next season?
Come, just show up. I'm pretty sure if you just like pretend like you're part of the cast,
I'll be
they
like,
won't know.
I'll just be like, I brought 6 luggages. But there must have been this huge pressure knowing that doing the show was gonna, be pretty heavy.
I mean,
And then to commit to a role, like committing to a role in a national tour over and over, committing to this role for 7 months.
yeah. I mean, I don't think like the pressure is like something we've been asked about too, and I'm like, I don't really know, because I'm just doing this character that was given to me that's written really well and that I love, and I got to do that for 7 months.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And if I never get to do it again, that'd be kind of a bummer. But I have these 7 months of memories and videos and this cast that I have a bond with. One of the castmates, Mia McKenna Bruce, and I and her fiance were business partners now. Like we own a CBD company together. Like it's just like
I don't see samples, do you?
I know. I was like,
oh.
wait.
I know I need to start bringing them. But yeah, like it's just we've all like created such an amazing bond, and
It really seems like that, and you can see it on
once in
screen.
a lifetime thing.
You can also see the growth from episode 1. Not to say that episode 1 isn't great, because
No, but they do get better. Yeah, I agree.
But you can see the chemistry, and there's just this energy. But episode 1, you're just like, oh, the pageantry is just gorgeous. The outfits, everything, the music. It really has its finger on the pulse of like what the youngins are watching now.
Yeah.
And I want to know what kind of conversation was had about diversity, because like I said, it features a gay couple. It also talks a lot about being a stranger in your own skin, being the outcast, and still being strong through that, which you could put to any minority group, but it doesn't hit you over the head.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of over all of this super woke material where it's just like, we're telling the story and you're going to listen to it. It's like, let's experience it. Let's breathe into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for the young kids, I think this is but was that a conversation that was being had? It's like, we're going to explore this inclusivity.
You know what? Even from doing our first table read, I remember Julie Pleck, Marguerite, and Billy Woodruff. They were sitting at the head of the table, and then they were just like, the biggest thing to not like do is listen to the trolls that will come along with like doing this sort of thing, and
When Vampire Academy has like their fans.
Yeah, and then when we have like people who are like diehard book fans, which are really upset that we didn't cast real Russians and real Turkish backgrounds, it's that thing. So and they really come for like, especially our lead Cece, who plays our Rose Hathaway, like they're really coming for her, and it's racist. It's just racism, like blatant racism, and that sucks, because if they could see past that, like she's the perfect Rose.
It's such a positive show. It's fun, you know?
Yeah. So we never really had a conversation about like diversity. It's just, and I didn't, I have a thing of like, I get nervous when I look people up ahead of time, and then meet them. So I'd like to meet them first and then like go back and be like, oh, this is who I met. This is their background, their history. I
the
like
opposite.
I try to like
Way opposite.
organically meet people.
Sure, yeah.
So I didn't like our cast. We got like the art of, you know, like who we were working with, but I didn't go and like search anyone up. And so when we got to set, it was kind of like, oh, this is what it is. And I was like, oh my God, you're Asian. Oh my God, you're Latina. Oh. And it was like that's just how it was. There wasn't a conversation like, okay, so you're not getting a Latina storyline, Daniela. Like it was just like, she is the princess of our show. Like, you know, like, and that what you're seeing.
I'm going to be honest, 100% honesty, because that's what we do on the show.
Yes.
I was 100% shocked. I was like, oh, the love interest is going to be Asian, because it's like when... but it was just so matter of fact, but it was introduced so beautifully as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love
it's such a
that.
sweet relationship too. Yeah.
Okay, and Sonia, talking about being an outcast. This poor girl, you know, nobody knew what's going on with her. She couldn't share her power at the beginning. So they sent her to shock therapy
Yeah.
to discover
As a kid, yeah.
what her power is. Girl, I mean, even that, it for any group, especially like conversion therapy, whatever, it's just like, it's so awful. And then what we're starting to realize is that the actual real powers are from the outcast. So
Yeah.
episode 5, something happens to your character. I'm like, Sonia! But I'm also like, these goddamn birds. I was like, she's like the Mary Poppins. She's like the sexiest Mary Poppins ever.
Why, thank you.
Also, I'm not going to give
Fun
anything
fact,
away.
I've never even seen Mary Poppins.
Girl.
It's like the color purple.
I know. I was literally just about
You
to
need
say.
to hang out with a gay for like a
Okay,
weekend.
so
You're going to have the
like
color
I said,
purple.
I
you're gonna
was
Mary
raised by
Poppins.
black women, and they don't
Right.
watch no Mary Poppins. We watching Medea, okay?
That's really funny. Medea's kind of a Mary Poppins, though. She just comes in and she owns it and she tells everyone
Hello,
what's up.
how you doing?
Yeah. That's really funny. I never thought about like, who hasn't seen Mary Poppins, but you know, probably a black family.
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times.
I feel like you guys have your own podcast. And I'll be like, remember, what was his name? I'll be like, put me on the podcast. But also, special effects is a big part of Vampire Academy.
So
As an
cool.
actor, we were talking about like the thriller and the gore and all that. So you have to like do all this preparation. Tony, can we play this little video?
Oh my God.
This is from episode 5.
Oh, yay!
And this is some of the special effects. I've seen the finished effect. I'm like, holy crap.
Oh,
Like the tech, everything is like, oh, let's have fun. And she's like, yeah, let's have fun. And then it's like, why don't you act right now? Look at that.
I'm just hanging out.
I love it.
Action. Act.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
This reminds me of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. There we go. I mean, gorgeous.
Ugh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Oh God, the hand collapsed.
I also do want to talk about body positivity, going through scoliosis. Also, you are a big advocate talking about human trafficking. So talk about being on a show where it's young and beautiful. That's Vampire Academy. But how you're also like, well, that's not all I am. I'm also an actor, and I look this beautiful, having overcome certain obstacles in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the human trafficking, like my passion for that came in my senior thesis in high school. We had to pick a topic, and I just picked human trafficking. So LSU, Louisiana State University, I was connected to a student over there who was like on the ground going in and like part of an organization that had fought human trafficking. And then I went to a Christian conference where Christine Kane, who is the founder of A21, you know, she's a huge advocate for it as well. And yeah, so I think just anyone that has been a victim of abuse or anything like that. Like, it being I just care a lot about people that have to go through things like that, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. This world can be so terrible. So yeah, that's just something that I'm passionate about. And then the body positivity comes in, obviously, with the scoliosis, being diagnosed, and then having to just like say like, oh, someone's not gonna like want me because of this, or like whether that's like professionally or just like as a friend or as a like love interest or like someone that I'm actually like interested in. That is like an actual fear of mine all the time, is like they're gonna be able to see my scoliosis and then like not like me, and it's a mental thing, because it's scoliosis. I've had people tell me that it's not even as bad for like as like some, and people can't really see it, but I can see it, and I know that like the way I feel, and I can feel it, and so it's like, yeah, so you could tell me you don't see it, but in my mind it's so much more amplified, and yeah, exactly. It's like it's almost that body dysmorphia thing. Like I see myself so differently than like what other people see me as, and when people tell me things, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, I think that's where it comes in, because it's something that I'm like actively struggling with all the time, every day, and I just have to like, my mind at the end of it all has to just be stronger than what the like naysayers are telling me. Like like it's just like, yeah, I don't know.
and one of your first scenes with your love interest, I'm not going to give anything away. You even tell him, you're like, well, I'm kind of a freak. I talk to birds, but that's also putting yourself out there as like, I'm different. There's something different about me, which at the end it's what makes characters so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I relate to Sonia. I grew up super shy and not really like having that many friends and things like that. So, and I love spending time alone. Like as an adult, like I love my time alone. So, yeah, it was really easy for me to like get into that like state of mind and things like that, and then figure out her from there.
Well, who knows what's going to happen, because Jesus Christ.
How many episodes in the season?
10.
Oh, yeah,
10.
but we've seen 5.
We've seen 5. We've got 10 total.
The literal last minute of episode 5 was like,
yeah. And cut.
I saw this girl, and she's like,
cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that girl Lele.
Oh, yes.
I want to talk about this kind of audition process, because working for a sitcom is a whole different style of acting.
Yes.
Very presentational. Also, it's with Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Tell me about the audition, and tell me about like the first couple of weeks, because a sitcom is a commitment too, like your national tour. But it's like, you're in it, and that's it.
Yeah, we have 39 episodes this season.
Whoa.
Didn't even know that was possible.
Duh.
39.
But that's how
They
TV
don't even
shows
do that
used
anymore.
to be. But that's how they used to be.
Right.
There used to be 30, 40
Make that
episodes.
money.
Yep.
I mean, yes, absolutely, 100%. I'm here for it. But the audition, everything was via Zoom, because it was the height of the pandemic. Everything, even the chemistry test, network test, everything was on Zoom.
How do you do a chemistry test via Zoom?
Well, let me tell you. The person that plays my husband on the show, Thomas Hobson,
His energy is amazing. You
the
guys,
genius
you guys are
of
just like,
Thomas Hobson, he and I have known each other for like 12 years.
Oh. Well, that helps. I was like, oh, wow. That helps.
That's amazing.
So during the chemistry read, it's when you're like, typically everybody's in a room together, in a lobby or a waiting room together, and they're calling in people couple at a time. But in a Zoom situation, it is the same, but you can't see anybody that you're with. You don't know who else is popping up in your Zoom square.
Oh, but you see them when they're actually on.
When they come, but in the waiting room, in the lobby,
got it.
the virtual lobby. So I'm literally standing in my kitchen with my lights.
I love this story. In the book.
Yeah, literally. I'm standing
Booked
in
and
my
blessed.
kitchen just trying to keep the energy up because I'm waiting for like an hour for them to say you're next. I'm just like making up jingles, dancing around. I'm doing all the things just to keep my energy levels high. And they start bringing in pairs of parents, a mom and a dad. And so we're just doing a little mix and match situation. And we also had to perform a jingle that we all made up for our initial self-tape.
You know, I'm going to ask, what was your jingle?
Well, it's the one that made it into the episode. So
Can you recite it now? Are we going to get sued by Nickelodeon?
well, I don't think so because
They're down the street. We're fine.
They wrote the words, but I wrote the melody, so I get some sort of credit for it.
Of
So I
course you
feel
do.
like I have
Yeah.
a bit of ownership on it, so I think I can say it. Anyway, it was for Stan's Bakery. Do you want me to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Stan's Bakery is so fly. He makes the best pastries and cherry pie. If you ask him, he'll tell you why. That Stan's Bakery is so fly.
And you just did that on your own. Yes!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes, so we all had to
Love these stories. Rah!
we all had to make up our own jingle for the self-tape, and it carried throughout the entire audition process. So because this was happening on Zoom, I spoke to the casting director the day before, and I was like, but all of the husbands have their version of a jingle, all of the wives have their own version of a jingle, but we're supposed to be singing the same jingle. So how do we make this happen? And right then and there, she was like, well, hadn't thought about that. I was like, you're welcome.
It's like that SNL skit where they're like
Oh
looking
my
at each other. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad you're thinking about it now, because that means somebody is going to have to learn a jingle on the spot. And please, Lord Jesus, do not let that be me.
Oh my god.
But the first husband that I was matched with, I taught him. They were like, "You're gonna learn Tiffany's jingle." And I was like, "Thank you." So I taught him the jingle, and it was
Did
fine.
he learn it?
He learned it, absolutely. But I was also in like such a haze of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is actually happening. I don't even really remember him doing it because Tommy popped up next on the Zoom square.
That's so unfair.
And I
You
was
gotta,
like, Tommy? Wait, what? And everybody else in the Zoom room like disappeared, like mentally disappeared. I was just like, it was me and Tommy just like bantering for a second back and forth. The executive producer, the showrunner, was like, excuse me, what just happened here? And Tommy was like, Tiffany, let them know. Like, we worked together on another show, a sketch comedy show called Sherman Showcase on IFC. That's premiering soon. Where we've done 2 seasons of that show together. I was a dancer on the Fresh Beat Band. He was one of the series regulars on the Fresh Beat Band on Nickelodeon, 10 years prior to our Nickelodeon show. So that was like,
it's a small world, like we talk about. It's a
right,
small
it's
world.
a small world, but like we didn't have to build inauthentic chemistry through a Zoom square. It was just already there. And that is how we booked the job. That is how we crossed the finish line.
That's
for sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that
It's meant to
chemistry
be.
just bleeds into with the kids. I mean, it's such an
Yeah.
ensemble cast. So I have to ask. This is on the rocks. So I have to
Yeah.
ask. I despise cardio,
Okay.
cats,
Ooh.
and children.
All C's.
All right.
All C's.
So I want to know, working with this cast of kids, and when you watch the show, you're just astounded by the amount of talent that comes
Yeah.
through.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are professionals. Each one has their own characters. Like, wow, they've been to acting school. It's like, well, some of them are fresh, new.
Yeah.
What's it like working with kids? What have you learned from the kids? And I say kids, I don't mean it disparaging, but
yeah. No, they are kids. Well, I think that there's so much to be learned to learn from kids just in general, right? On screen, off screen, all of it. But they
You're gonna have to convince me.
well, I mean, just in their approach to life, they're able to brush things off really easily. They're really present. They're really in the moment all the time because they just want to play.
And they're honest.
And they're honest and truthful. So those are probably the biggest takeaways that I've gotten from them because you're never as a parent and a parental figure on the show, you can't really stay in whatever funk you're bringing to the table for the day from your grown-up adult life. You know what I mean? Because you're in the presence of these kids and they don't need to feel any of that energy. And so it has allowed me to just like brush things off so much easier because I get to be in this playground with the kids. And truth be told, Tommy and I are probably the biggest kids on the show. So
Truth be told, Tony, let's see this. Play it on the loop because we have to see this in all its glory. But this is just like backstage. If you look at Tiffany's social media, this is just like what's happening.
yes.
Oh, you know how we do. How we do.
I literally
Look
am
at
I literally text Tommy like, what are you doing right now? Let's go do a TikTok.
That's so amazing.
Let's go downstairs.
I want the cast of That Girl Lele to challenge the cast of Vampire
Oh my
Academy
gosh, so fun.
to do a
do
vampire related like but like
Oh my god.
wouldn't that be the strangest crossover you've ever?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
girl.
we should
Let's
do it.
coordinate. Let's
Also,
organize
Tiffany,
it.
we're gonna do an On the Rocks on set in Spain for the next season.
Yes.
Let's do that. Can you imagine me like through the rubble with my 5 suitcases? Like, you want me to go where?
Let's go. I'm
down.
here for it.
I'm down. I'm down.
Yes. Amazing.
So much fun.
So much fun.
Final question. This is a little bit deeper, but
Okay.
it's a relevant issue with actors. Doing Nickelodeon, having the huge success, Netflix blew up,
Yeah.
and we know why. It's a wholesome show.
Yeah.
It's also a black family show, but it's not the Cosby Show where it's the black family show.
Right.
Are you afraid of being pigeonholed? And Vampire Academy doing very well, but it's a very certain genre. Both of what you both are doing are very genre specific. As an actor, and we've talked about like when do you know? Like, okay, let's move on. Are you afraid of being pigeonholed, or do you think Hollywood is now not limiting actors like we have before?
I'll take it first. I am not afraid of being pigeonholed because I am confident in myself and my abilities. I also have I have a long resume, which you read at the top of the show.
We joked it's my cardio.
Yes, your cardio routine. I have a lot of experience doing a lot of other things, and I've never, like I said, I've never stayed in one place. I've never overstayed my welcome in any place. So I have a wonderful team of people that are going to continue to help me grow and shift into different genres and different networks and different areas of this industry. And I'm just going to continue believing that anything that I want, I'm going to have as long as I go after it and stay consistent.
Yeah.
You were so inspirational.
Absolutely.
I might hit
you.
the gym tomorrow. I'm gonna text you with like me on the elliptical, like dying, like here I am.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you though. Like that's really what it is like the mindset behind like what you're doing and why you're here, and then going after what you want. And yeah, it's just it's at the end of the day, the goal is to work.
Yeah.
And whether that's, I mean, I just did a guest star on BT Tales where I played a cop.
Nice.
And so whether it's playing a cop or playing a vampire or playing the sister that gets kidnapped, it's like I'm working and I'm learning in every, like, it's like we're learning what not to do, what to do. I don't know what the end product of any of these is going to be. I don't know if episode 6 is going to be hated by everyone because they hate my performance. And it's like, and that's fine, because what I'm doing here is learning, and it's like not every performance has to be perfect. So it's like whatever I get cast in next, it's like that's another opportunity for me to exercise my craft, and then everything in between is just auditioning and exercising it that way, you know.
I'm excited. If this is the future of Hollywood, I'm all in.
Yay.
Have either one of you thought about going behind the camera, producing, directing?
Yes,
Absolutely,
1000%.
So I want to hear about this because
Yeah.
if you need somebody.
Yeah.
But what aspect do you feel that you would be best at? What sparks your passion?
I'm really interested in directing. I directed my first play earlier this year, and it was just like a kismet moment. I had literally had the idea and the thought, like, maybe I should try something like this, because I would always coach my friends for self-tapes. And one of my friends said to me, like, there might be an opportunity here for you to dabble. And then 6 days later, I got an email from a friend saying, hey, would you like to direct my play?
God.
And I was like, oh, okay, universe, I'm listening.
Yeah.
So I was filming Nickelodeon simultaneously while directing this play. And so I spoke to my executives over at Nickelodeon, and they were like, well, let's get you into the classes that you need to get into. And like, let's see what we can do to maybe get you shadowing some directors for the rest of season 2, season 3. Maybe we can
That's
make
so
this
great
happen.
to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Speak it into existence and make it happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to direct network television, cable television. I'm going to do it. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to do it.
But I love the network is behind you. It was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
You have such a way of talking and like your energy. It's like any actor would be like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Thank you.
I get it.
I appreciate that.
And like I said,
I'm going to keep you on the list.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to shadow a director
Yeah.
one day. That sounds. I mean, it sounds like it's so fun. I don't think I have like enough experience yet to like say I want to direct, but I'd love to shadow a director just to see like what happens on that side of the camera, because I am interested in it, and I like to write. So yeah, I write.
I'd love to see what
here
you
and
would
there.
have to write. Especially talking
Yeah.
about that story of like your audition for Euphoria. It's like, how far am I
Yeah.
willing to go? I think that's a really important story.
Yeah.
I know we
I
have to
can
wrap
see
up,
it.
but we have to talk about loss
Loss.
and how we deal
Yeah.
with it. No, it's not to bring it down, but the biggest energy behind that girl Lele.
Yeah.
David Arnold, comedian. We lost him very suddenly, very recently. I know you were
Yes.
very attached to him. Also, we lost Ashley Willis, who wrote the music for Color Purple.
Allie Willis, yeah.
Allie Willis, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's we're all still very much working through the loss of David A. Arnold. He created the show. It was his first time as an executive producer on a show. He was on the brink of stardom for himself. He had 2 Netflix specials that are still currently out there and doing very well, Fat Ballerina and It Ain't for the Week. He was the inspiration, the motivation, the heart of our show. And he was on the ground floor with us at every turn, every moment, every line. So moving forward is going to be very challenging for us, but we've filmed about almost 30 episodes between season 1 and season 2 now. And because David was so involved, he's instilled a piece of him in every single one of us. And I think it's our job and our duty to maintain his vision and his voice as a collective cast and production and group. And we are determined to make that happen because he would want us to do so. And I know he's looking down on all of us being like, get your asses to work and don't let my show go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Shows
thank you.
affected so many different people, and families get to watch something together.
Yeah, and David was a huge part of all of that, and I really appreciate you allowing me to speak his name on this podcast today because he's so close to my heart right now.
These are all trailblazers, like both you ladies, trailblazers.
Thank you.
We're sharing our story, and we're changing stuff little by little.
Yeah.
I say we, and I'm just here not getting fit.
Oh my God.
You're fabulous, darling.
No, I'm
Fabulous,
a ball.
just the way you are.
Okay, we're going to end the show. I want you to give your best advice for a woman getting into this industry, whether it encapsulates what you've gone through, doesn't have to be like, get an agent. It could be whatever advice you want to impart.
Work hard and don't give up. Yeah.
If you have to take a headshot in your backyard, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really important to continue to discover who you are, what makes you you, what makes you unique, and lean into that with everything that you have. Because this industry is oversaturated as it is, and I think it's gotten even more saturated since the pandemic because we've opened up the opportunity for so many more people to audition because of the self-tape option. So you have to find your voice and you have to figure out exactly what makes you you and you unique and lean in so hard because that is going to be what books you the job.
That's like a part 2 of this because you say that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
If you were to teach a master class, like that's the class I'd be for 30 years. It's like, no, but that's a really important point. We're going to have another conversation about that
Yeah.
in a separate time because
Sure.
that's true. There's so much out there
Oh my gosh.
with the social media, with all the
Oh my
networks. It's like,
gosh.
you're very right.
Yeah.
God, what a great
This
show.
was so
it was
fun.
And I can't wait for the dance challenge between the vampires and
I'll stand there and watch. I
Listen,
don't dance.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to go down with the Castellele.
imagine like BuzzFeed, like TMZ will be like the crossover between what?
What?
Please tell everybody where they can find and follow you.
Oh, at Jonetta Kaiser on everything. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
It's me, Tiff D, for the most part. Just type it in, you'll find me. It's me, Tiff D.
And they're both so silent about their personal life. I don't know if you can find them on Tinder.
No,
No.
absolutely
Not because I'm silent, because I ain't got the time.
Good.
I just don't care to.
no. And it wouldn't be Tinder anyway.
Just don't care to do it. Yeah.
Well, you know, there's that secret. Anyway, we'll talk later. Anyway,
the after show.
love you, ladies. Thank you for being trailblazers.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And everybody binge watch these shows, watch the shows because I did, and what an enjoyable time. And God, episode 6, I just cannot wait.
I know. I can't wait to watch it.
God. Fucking birds. Anyway, it's always a grab bag of fun here and On the Rocks. A big thank you to our engineer, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez, our researcher, Mama Rose. Coming up, we have Disney and Hairspray actor Garrett Clayton's coming on, Food Network's Zach Young. We also have members from the touring production of the new Oklahoma, which is a little controversial. So tune into that. Please like, share, subscribe. Big thank you to Anderson Public Relations. We're going to be bringing you the show for free every week. So stay happy, stay healthy,
Yes.
stay sexy. More importantly, well, you don't have to, but because now I feel bad because I'm like, stay tipsy.
Cheers.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.